we're going to end up in a struggle with Iran. It'll be a conflict. I rather suspect that the Israelis will begin it in some way. They'll act initially on their own. Then we'll be dragged in to support them and assist them. How does Israel come through this? It's hard to tell. The Iranians have the capability to flatten the place. But I think Israel's in a lot of trouble now. It's losing a lot of population. It has very little income. It's entirely dependent upon us. I don't know that it survives the whole enterprise.
This is Colonel Douglas McGregor, a defense and foreign policy analyst and former advisor to the Secretary of Defense. I sat down with the colonel and recorded this interview just hours before Israel launched its war against Iran, a war that now has escalated into the biggest and most dangerous international conflict threatening the future of our world. Nuclear warfare has never been closer than right now. And make no mistake, the U.S. government is firmly standing behind Israel's attacks against Iran. This was reported directly by the Times of Israel in this article, which reveals that the U.S. helped lull Iran into belief that no attack was imminent. But here is where things get interesting, because it's now becoming interestingly clear that the United States was closely involved in coordinating this attack with Israel, acting in full cooperation and perhaps even duplicity. Just hours after the strikes, Donald Trump posted, "2 months ago, I gave Iran a 60-day ultimatum to make a deal. They should have done it. Today is day 61. I told them what to do, but they just couldn't get there. Now they have, perhaps, a second chance." His message makes it obvious. This wasn't just Israel acting alone. It was a calculated move with full U.S. backing. This has now been confirmed by news platform Axios, who posted this incredible article revealing that Israel's strike on Iran was 8 months in the making. 2 Israeli officials claimed to Axios that Trump and his aides were only pretending to oppose an Israeli attack in public. "We had a clear U.S. green light," one claimed. The goal was to convince Iran that no attack was imminent and make sure Iranians on Israel's target list wouldn't move to new locations. Netanyahu's aides even briefed Israeli reporters that Trump had tried to put the brakes on an Israeli strike in a call on Monday, when in reality, the call dealt with a coordination ahead of the attack, Israeli officials now say. The situation in the Middle East is now escalating faster than any of us could have predicted. But now let's listen to Colonel McGregor's insights as he predicted this very attack against Iran, but also explains what will happen next. Colonel, I want to talk about Israel. And I think this is a very interesting time right now for this. Obviously, we've seen, for example, the progression of this Israel's war in Gaza. I mean, the continuing devastation, still a massive humanitarian crisis. But also, I think we're also starting to see a lot of the international support for Israel is starting to wane, and it's really becoming a turning point here. I want to get your thoughts on Israel as we're looking in June 2025 right now. What is your thoughts on the current situation between Israel and Gaza and the pending crisis with Iran?
Well, people approaching 65 need to realize that choosing the right time to start Medicare can have...
Your thoughts on the current situation between Israel and Gaza and the pending crisis with Iran?
Well, I think we're going to end up in a struggle with Iran. It'll be a conflict. How does it begin? I rather suspect that the Israelis will begin it in some way. They'll act initially on their own. Then we'll be dragged in to support them and assist them. How does Israel come through this? It's hard to tell. The Iranians have the capability to flatten the place. Israel's simply not that large.
Right.
And they could do that. Now the Israelis could be extraordinarily arrogant and impudent. I would say a better word would be arrogant and foolish, and actually use a nuclear warhead of their own in their desire to destroy this so-called nuclear facility. I think that would be a terrible mistake. And then you would have a situation in which the Russians and the Chinese probably would both pitch in. What does that mean? I don't know. But I think Israel's in a lot of trouble now. It's losing a lot of population. It has very little income. It's entirely dependent upon us. I don't know that it survives the whole enterprise. We also have no strategic interest that would lead us to destroy Iran.
Right.
Now they talk about Iran as though the revolution happened yesterday. It's been 46 years.
Right.
Iran is a very different nation from what it was 46 years ago. Iran is a highly developed society with a very, very high human capital. They're much more capable than people think. We have this sort of ridiculous idea of Iran as this backwater of another Muslim country where nobody can do anything right. That just isn't the case. And we ought to be interested in cultivating good relations with them, not going to war with them. But Israel wants to maintain its monopoly on nuclear weapons. And it's determined to destroy anyone in the region who might, for any reason, have a nuclear capability. The Turks know this, and the Turks have always said to us privately that if they need a nuclear weapon, Pakistan will give it to them. So they're not really worried about it.
Right.
What a terrible set of circumstances to be in if you're Israel. I mean, literally, you've told everybody in the region that they're subhuman and that they richly deserve to be destroyed. I don't see how the Israelis recover from that. You tell all of your neighbors they deserve to die and they're subhuman, you're not exactly cultivating friends and supporters. So I think whatever happens now is probably not going to be good for Israel, period. It's going to set us back. It's going to harm us. You start interrupting the oil flows and so forth, you're going to have a hell of a time. Who's behind everything in the Middle East? It's not Iran, contrary to popular belief. We've tried to argue for years that if you just destroy Iran, everything will be great. No, this is ridiculous nonsense. So I think we've reached an impasse. The problem is this, and this is most important, Cyrus. If you're President Trump, you sit down with your political advisors, whomever he's talking to these days, probably Lutnick and Witkoff, who are both fervent Zionists, and he says, well, how many senators do I control in a crucial vote in the Senate? And how many senators does Mr. Netanyahu control in a crucial vote in the Senate? Answer, Mr. Netanyahu controls more of the Senate than Donald Trump. Well, that's probably also true for the House. That's why Washington is this fantasy island. Everybody who lives there is stuffing their pockets full of cash that they get from various lobbies and kickbacks because of their support for military equipment going all over the world or the commitment of U.S. forces somewhere. Donald Trump doesn't seem to have any control over any of it. What can he do? I don't know if you saw him I think it was yesterday, where he was asked directly about Iran.
Right.
And I've seen him in person up close. And this was a very different Donald Trump. He sat there very sort of stone-faced. Well, what about Iran and the negotiations? What's happening? And he sits there and he says, well, they want to enrich uranium, and they can't do that. We can't have that. And they have to give up some other things, meaning theater ballistic missiles and so forth, and they won't do that. So I think I've said it, and it's clear the consequences are very dire. And then he sort of sat there.
Right.
This is not a man who wants to go to war.
Right.
Of course not. He's never wanted to go to war against anybody. But what's he going to do now? He's essentially boxed himself in thanks to his wonderful advisors and his readiness to essentially unconditionally support anything Israel and its agents in this country want. He's stuck. So what's the answer? The answer is we're going to have a war with Iran.
Would you say that the potential of this Israel-Iran, is this the most pressing international conflict at the moment right now? Has that overtaken Russia-Ukraine? Is this really our biggest worry at the moment?
It's overtaken everything.
Honestly, the situation in the Middle East has overtaken every other conflict and is the most pressing international security issue affecting not only the region, but if nuclear war begins, the entire world. Netanyahu, who has already lost international support over his devastating war crimes in Gaza, has now expanded them to new war crimes in Iran. And while Western governments justify Israel's attack on Iran as an act of self-defense, I want to leave you with a powerful insight from Mohammad El-Baradi, the Nobel Peace Prize winner and former Director General of the International Atomic Energy Agency. He was deeply involved in managing nuclear tensions in Iraq, Iran, and North Korea, and he warned European governments that targeted strikes against nuclear facilities are explicitly prohibited under Article 56 of the Additional Protocol to the Geneva Conventions, to which Germany and many other European countries is a signatory. Moreover, Article 2-4 of the UN Charter clearly states that the use of force in international relations is forbidden, except in the cases of self-defense or when authorized by the UN Security Council. This escalation raises serious legal and moral questions for the international community to consider. Everyone, We're trying to give you the latest updates from the Middle East, but things are developing so fast. So make sure that you stay tuned as we continue to follow this unfolding situation. But do let me know what you think in the comments below.
Yeah. Okay. Let's see what they say.
Some crypto exchanges make you wait forever. High fees and slow trades. Hard.
The night sky over the Middle East erupted in flames. Iran has unleashed Operation True Promise Third, a massive retaliatory missile and drone strike targeting Israeli military infrastructure in response to deadly Israeli airstrikes that rocked Tehran just hours earlier. The shadow war is now an open conflict. Late Friday night, hundreds of precision-guided ballistic missiles and drones were fired deep into Israeli territory. Among the key targets, Nevatim and Ovda air bases, both crucial for Israeli electronic warfare and command operations. Also struck, Tel Nof air base near Tel Aviv, and even the Israeli Defense Ministry itself. Iran says over 150 targets were hit in carefully planned waves, claiming the Israeli Iron Dome defense system was breached multiple times. Tehran says it was a proportionate response. The IRGC, now led by newly appointed Major General Mohammad Pakpour, vowed the campaign would continue as long as necessary. General Ahmad Vahidi, a top military advisor, warned that Israel had miscalculated by bringing war to Iranian soil. It was Israel that struck first. Early Friday morning, missiles slammed into residential neighborhoods in Tehran, killing at least 78 Iranians, including 6 nuclear scientists and multiple senior commanders from the IRGC and armed forces. Iran's supreme leader, Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, addressed the nation, calling the Israeli attack a grave mistake and promising bitter consequences.
God willing, we will act powerfully. We will not show any leniency. Their lives will become bitter, no doubt. They, Israel, shouldn't think they hit, and it's over. No, they started this and waged a war.
In a symbolic gesture, the new IRGC chief wrote to the supreme leader declaring, "The gates of hell will soon be opened to the child-killing Zionist regime." The war of words spilled into diplomacy. At an emergency UN Security Council session, Iran's ambassador Saeed Iravani accused Israel of a declaration of war, citing US intelligence support and alleging that safeguarded nuclear sites had been targeted.
We will not forget that our people lost their lives as a result of the Israeli attacks with American weapons. These actions amount to declaration of war. They are the latest in a long and well-documented pattern of lawless, destabilizing, and aggressive behavior by the Israeli regime, a regime that acts with impunity because it is shielded by powerful allies. This must end.
Iran invoked Article 51 of the UN Charter, defending its retaliatory strikes as an inherent right to self-defense. The IRGC claims satellite imagery and field reports confirm dozens of strategic impacts across Israeli territory, including military-industrial facilities linked to Gaza operations. Israel has yet to confirm the full extent of damage. but insists it retains the right to respond forcefully. The region now stands at the edge of a broader confrontation. As civilian casualties mount, military rhetoric escalates, and fears of a wider Middle East war grow by the hour.
Alrighty. Well, let's get some biblical scriptures, man. Well, before I do that, I think there's some more some other videos that I was watching the other day while I was at work. What's this? Yeah, Times of India.
Hey, before your video starts, if you're a father who's lost contact with your child, or you feel like you're losing them,中方高度关注以色列袭击伊朗，对有关行动可能带来的严重后果深感担忧。中方反对侵犯伊朗主权、安全和领土完整，反对激化矛盾、扩大冲突，地区局势再度骤然升温，不符合任何一方利益。中方呼吁有关各方多做有利于促进地区和平稳定的事，避免紧张事态进一步升级。中方愿为推动局势缓和发挥建设性作用。
Reason why NATO are asking for a de-escalation in Western Asia is because they're afraid that Gog and Magog, which is Vladimir Putin and Russia, along with China, since Russia and China are living on the same continent, are going to band together and attack Babylon the Great, the military-industrial complex for America, or EU NATO, right? The beast. All right, let's go to Ezekiel chapter 38, verse 1. And the Lord came unto me, saying, Son of man, set thy face against Gog, the land of Magog, the chief prince of Meshech and Tubal, and prophesy against him, right? Now, Gog is Vladimir Putin. The land of Magog is Russia, right? And he's the chief prince of Meshech and Tubal, which are provinces of northern and southern Turkey, right? And prophesy against him, and say, Thus saith the Lord Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, Behold, I am against thee, O Gog, the chief prince of Meshech and Tubal. Okay? I will turn thee back and put hooks into thy jaws, and I will bring thee forth and all thine army. Now you just saw the representative for China said that they're ready to de-escalate the situation and ready to help in any way possible to de-escalate the program. So that means that they got troops, they got tanks, they got planes ready to help Iran. That's what the fuck they said. If Iran needs help against this unprovoked Israeli attack, give us a call. We'll fuck them up for you, okay? That's basically what he said, okay? Little Chinese motherfucker, man. And I will turn thee back and put hooks into thy jaws, right? And I will bring thee forth and all thine army, horses and horsemen, all of them clothed with all sorts of armor, even a great company with bucklers and shields, all of them handling swords. So they're going to have drones, tanks, robots, whatever they need, man. The Israeli are going to be overwhelmed. The first person they're going to call is Agent Orange. Okay? That's the first motherfucker they're going to call is Agent Orange. NATO and EU, they're already in contention with Russia, trying to fuck with Ukraine, trying to steal Ukraine's land. Now the Israeli trying to steal the Iranian land. America is the military industrial force. They ain't going to have a choice but to push, you guessed it, the national draft. That means if you're between the ages of 30 and 18, you're fucked. It is that simple. Men and women. Joe Biden signed a law to where women can fight in the war too. So watch all these women get back in order quick. Watch. Just stay at home. Learn how to cook. They're going to learn how to do a lot of shit really quickly. Man, the Most High Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai is a genius. Do you hear me? Persia, Ethiopia, and Libya, with all of them with shield and helmet, right? Persia, right? That's Iran. Ethiopia, right? That's North Africans, right? And Libya, right? With all of them, and it had put in there too, but they, these bastards, they changed it. With shield and helmet. Gomer and all his bands, right? Turkey. The house of Togarmah of the north quarters, and all his bands, and many people with thee. So this is a biblical prophecy that says that Turkey, Beth Togarmah, okay, and Gomer, which is Turkey, North and South Turkey, East and West Turkey, okay, these individuals, which are, of Ishmael's bloodline, they're going to join BRICS, thereby, because right now they're members of NATO, but it says this is biblically prophesied for Turkey to leave NATO and join BRICS. America's fucked right then, right? Be thou prepared and prepare for thyself, thou and all thy company that are assembled unto thee, and be thou a guard unto them. Them, Gomer of Togarmah of the north quarters, Beth Togarmah, Persia, Ethiopia, and Libya. Right? So, be thou a guard unto them. Anyway, where was I at? Yeah, okay. I think it was another video I was trying to put together. I wasn't sure as to what I wanted to do here. Okay, so because this is Gog and Magog, and they're going to help against the Israeli. Okay, oh, that's the one I forgot. I don't know why. How could you forget that one? Jeremiah 50. Verse 45. Therefore hear ye the counsel of the Lord, Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, and he that hath taken against Babylon, and his purposes that he hath proposed against the land of the Chaldeans. Surely the least of the flock shall draw them out. Okay? Now, the least of the flock of these Edomite aggressors, the land of the Assyrians, the land of the Chaldeans, they were deliberately put there in 1948 to destabilize the region. Okay, let's go find more proof on that. Alrighty, let me see if I can find it. Should be able to find it pretty quickly. I don't know, but I'm gonna see if I can find that. So this way we can, boom, so we can get proof. Let's find some proof. Right? Let's read this too. Right? Now we all know, look, Albert Pike. This is Albert Pike, right? Albert Pike, 33rd degree Mason, right? That's him. Okay? Let's get it. Here it is. Albert Pike, August 15, 1871. The Third World War must be forwarded by taking advantage of the differences caused by the agenter, or agent provocateurs, right, of the Illuminati, right, the George Soros Corporation. What is this? The Good Foundation or some goddamn shit? Something. Anyway, between the political Zionists and the leaders of Islamic world. The war must be conducted in such a way that Islam, the Muslim Arabic world, and political Zionism, the state of Israel, mutually destroy each other. Meanwhile, the other nations, once more divided on this issue, will be constrained to fight to the point of complete physical, moral, spiritual, and economical exhaustion. And that's what's happening right now. Okay? People are tired. What do they got? They've got fatigue. Right? Is this not economical, spiritual, moral, physical exhaustion? Fatigue, right? We shall unleash the nihilists and the atheists. And the atheists and nihilists are being released by the George Soros Foundation of these political, what do you call them? Domestic terrorists, aka, damn, I forgot. I just said it. Damn, skip my brain. Wow, man. Whatever. Anyway, I just said it, but I can't remember. Okay. Anyway. We shall unleash the nihilists and the atheists, and we shall provoke a formidable social cataclysm, which in all its horror will show clearly to the nations the effect of absolute atheism, the origin of savagery, and of the most bloody turmoil. And what you've seen with B.B. Kowalski, a.k.a. Benjamin Nothing Not a Jew, okay, has been bloody turmoil, right? Absolute atheism, right? Because the Most High Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai is about love, compassion, and mercy. Because mercy rejoiceth against judgment. And judgment is destruction, right? These motherfuckers are completely adverse to all righteousness, right? Absolute atheism, which is an unbelief. Origin of savagery, right? Is this not savagery? These Edomite Caucasian devils, that's savagery. You know, they're sending missiles over there to fight people that can't fight back, right? We're going to go get Deuteronomy 25 and 17 through 19 in just a minute. That proves that B.B. Kowalski and the nation of the Israeli Amalekite Khazars that say that they are the JEWs and are not, but do lie. They are the synagogue of Satan because they only race of people on the earth that attend synagogues where they worship the satanic power on the earth through the Luciferian Illuminati. They worship themselves. Right? Hold on. Then everywhere the citizens, obliged to defend themselves against the world minority of revolutionaries, will exterminate those destroyers of civilization, and the multitude disillusioned with Christianity, whose deistic spirits will from that moment be without compass or direction, anxious for an ideal, but without knowing where to render its adoration, will receive the true light through the universal manifestation of the pure doctrine of Lucifer, right? The Illuminati, brought finally out in the public view. This manifestation will result from the general reactionary movement, which will follow the destruction of Christianity and atheism, both conquered and exterminated at the same time. Now, what's going on right now concerning this paragraph here, right? The war must be conducted in such a way that Islam, the Muslim Arabic world, and political Zionism, the state of Israel, mutually destroy each other. Meanwhile, the other nations, once more divided on this issue, right? Are not the nations divided on this issue? They're divided. You just saw the video. EU and NATO, we're talking about that they're condemning it, but they're condoning it behind closed doors. You just saw the earlier videos, right? Okay, they're condoning it. Okay, the Israeli people are saying that America condoned the attack on Iran 8 months ago. What the actual fuck? Okay, so this is not something that just happened overnight. What they're trying to portray in the mainstream media. This is a planned attack to destroy those people's land and take natural resources. You see what they're doing to the people in Gaza? They ain't give a shit. Me personally, I speak as a man and as an Israelite. I don't give a shit about any of these people. I just want them to mutually destroy each other, so this way Yahweh Shai HaMashiach, the Son of the Most High in heaven, will gather together his elect and sever the wicked from the just. Okay? Okay, and meanwhile, the other nations, once more divided on this issue, will be constrained to fight to the point of complete physical, moral, spiritual, and economical exhaustion. You got fatigue, black fatigue, Latino fatigue. What it is you got Trump fatigue, and you ain't got the goddamn testicular fortitude to tell the truth. You're sick and tired of Trump. You MAGA maniacs out there with that goddamn Make America Great Again. You forget that America was made great to start with by oppression, murder, deceit. Okay? That's how it was made great. By the bloodshed of the children of Israel. By the force of the sword. Let's get it. Okay? Ezekiel chapter 35, verse 5. Because thou hast had a perpetual hatred and hast shed the blood of the children of Israel by the force of the sword in the time of their calamity, which was the transatlantic slave trade, right? And in the time that their iniquity had an end. And our iniquity is at an end because the Most High had sent, just like he's always done and has not changed, prophets to render the truth of the holy biblical scriptures to our people. That's what they're doing. Okay? And our iniquity is at an end. These Edomite Caucasians, along with the beast power, EU and NATO, and other heathen nations that are all complicit in the calamity of our people during the transatlantic slave trade, buying and selling us as slaves and souls of men, as it is written in Revelation chapter 18. Okay? They knew this. And they want this thing to happen for America to be destroyed. Okay? Because they remember, to them in their eyesight, keeping the law, statutes, and commandments of the Most High God in heaven is oppression. They can't worship their false gods and idols. Okay? They can't worship a fat bronze statue of some fat Chinese dude with a fucking smile, bald-headed fucker. Right? Where they worship babies and throw the babies in his lap. Okay? After they set the motherfucker on fire. You know, stuff like that. Therefore, as I live, saith the Lord, Yahweh Bashim, Yahweh Shai, I will prepare thee unto blood, and blood shall pursue thee. Since thou hast not hated blood, even blood shall pursue thee. Thus will I make Mount Seir most desolate, and cut off from it him that passeth out, and him that returneth. Okay? Surely as I live, says the sovereign Lord, since you show no distaste for blood, I will give you a bloodbath of your own. Your turn has come. I will make Mount Seir utterly desolate, killing off all who try to escape and any who return. I will fill your mountains with the dead. Your hills, your valleys, and your ravines will be filled with people slaughtered by the sword. And I will make you desolate forever. Your cities will never be rebuilt. Then you will know that I am the Lord. Right? See? Ezekiel 36. Right? Verse 2. This is what the sovereign Lord says. Your enemies have taunted you, saying, aha, now the ancient heights belong to us. Right? Is this not, this is what ESAU-EDOM is saying. This is our land and we're not going to get off of it. This is ours. But they're not telling you that they stole it fair and square. Right? How the fuck do you steal anything fair and square? There's no fairness in theft, is there? Okay? Anyway, therefore, son of man, give the mountains of Israel this message from the sovereign Lord. Your enemies have attacked you from all directions, making you the property of many nations and the object of much mocking and slander. Right? And this is a message to the Israelites that have been scattered throughout the four corners of the earth. Right? Therefore, O mountains of Israel, hear the word of the sovereign Lord. He speaks to the hills and the mountains. The hills are vassal states. Mountains are major governments. Right? Ravines and valleys are the vassal states okay, like you have NATO and EU, right? And you have the major nations in BRICS. They would be the mountains. The hills, the valleys, and the ravines are those other nations that join them later. Same with NATO. The United States created NATO as one of the individuals that created NATO and the United Nations. And all of the other nations that sign up with them would be hills, valleys, and ravines, right? And to ruined wastes and long deserted cities that have been destroyed and mocked by the surrounding nations. Right? This is what the sovereign Lord says. My jealous anger burns against these nations, especially Edom, because they have shown utter contempt for me by gleefully taking my land for themselves as plunder. Okay? And that land that those Amalekite Khazars are currently inhabiting belongs to us. Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans. This is where the Latinos and Native Americans got it fucked up because they believe that they were over here in America. The Most High gave Azareth to the Latinos and Native Americans so this way they could start over to try to keep the law, statutes, and commandments. But after 2,000-3,000 years of doing that, you had other individuals that came up out of their people telling them to worship false gods and idols. You see? And they've been doing it ever since. They worship death, El Muerte, I think is how to pronounce it, whatever the fuck it's called. You know, the Day of the Dead. You know, what the fuck? Really? And they have a parade about that bullshit. Everybody's dressed up in a goddamn skeleton clown suit. You know? I mean, come on, man. Really? So the Most High Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushua is going to destroy 2/3 of his own people because of this madness. Therefore prophesy to the hills and mountains and ravines and valleys of Israel. This is what the sovereign Lord says. I am furious that you have suffered shame before the surrounding nations. Therefore, this is what the sovereign Lord says. I have taken a solemn oath that those nations will soon have their own shame to endure. Okay? So, it's just a matter of time, man. The Most High Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushua done had enough of these goddamn devils. You can't really say to blame him. Obadiah chapter 1, verse 1. The vision of Obadiah. Thus saith the Lord Yahweh concerning Edom, we have heard a rumor from the Lord, and an ambassador is sent among the heathen. Arise ye, and let us rise up against her in battle. Okay? So, this video is concerning all of the heathen nations that are going to rise up in battle against Edom. Right? And wherever democracy dwells. So that constitutes, or that entails Babylon the Great, America, the daughter of Babylon, the land of the Chaldeans, of the Babylonians, right? Modern day Babylonians and Chaldeans are the actors in Hollywood and the people, okay? They're following behind a cruel Lord, right? Megamaniacs, right? Okay, and all of the EU and NATO, okay, is the beast. So, and the beast we all know is red. And the reason why the beast is red is because of the bloodshed that it sheds wherever they go. Okay? Let us arise ye, and let us rise up against her in battle. Right? Behold, I have made thee small among the heathen, thou art greatly despised. And everybody despises the leadership of Israel, of the Israeli Amalekite Khazars, for trying to destroy Iran. Okay, bad enough you already came against the Palestinians and you violate the Geneva Convention and the UN Charter, but then you do the same goddamn thing to people that have the ability to wipe you off the face of the fucking earth with the thermonuclear weapons, and you continue to destroy their leadership? Yeah. Okay, now this is all backed by Agent Orange, Donald Trump, right? Let me see if I can find a picture of that. See if I can find a picture of Donald Trump's ass with the Amalekite Khazars. Is that it? No. Hold on. He was with him. Taking pictures with him and shit, man. Hold on, let me see. I'm trying to find it. It's in here. I got it. You know, I know it's in here. Let's see. I guess I have to keep going. Hold on. Just don't want to go past it, you know. Okay. Hold on. Oh, no. No. No, let me see. Nope. Almost there. Then, hold on. Up. Hold on. Oh, nope. Is that it? Nope. Hold on. I'm trying to. There it is. Boom. Okay. Who the fuck is that, man? Who is he surrounded by? Okay. So he fully advocated, right? He fully advocated for this bullshit. Okay? They're telling him what the plan is right now. See? Hold on. Where was that at? I had another picture. Damn, it just disappeared. Hold on. Wow, did I go too far? Yep. See? You can't mistake. Ain't no mistake. Look what he got on his head. Okay, this motherfucker transitioned to Judaism back in 2018. Agent Orange in the red tie, DJT, translated to Judaism in 2018. Okay? He is not a Christian at all. Just wanted to let y'all know that. Obadiah 1 and 3. The pride of thine heart hath deceived thee, thou that dwellest in the clefts of the rock, whose habitation is high, that saith in his heart, who shall bring me down to the ground? Though thou shalt exalt thyself as the eagle, and though thou set thy nest amongst the stars, thence will I bring thee down, saith the Lord. Yahweh Ba'ashim Yahweh Shai. Right? Verse 7. All the men of thy confederacy have brought thee even to the border. Right? The border of wickedness. Right? The men that were at peace with thee have deceived thee and prevailed against thee. They that eat thy bread have laid a wound unto thee. There is none understanding in him. Right? Your allies will turn against you. They will help to chase you from your land. They will promise you peace while plotting to deceive and destroy you. Your trusted friends will set traps for you, and you won't even know about it. Okay? At that time, not a single wise person will be left in the whole land of Edom, says the Lord. For on the mountains of Edom I will destroy everyone who has understanding. Right? Why? Reasons for Edom's punishment. Because of the violence you did to your close relatives in Israel. You will be filled with shame and destroyed forever. All right? When they invaded, being the heathen nations, you stood aloof, refusing to help them. Foreign invaders carried off their wealth and cast lots to divide up Jerusalem, the people before it's a place, the Israelites, Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, right? But you, being Edom, acted as one of Israel's enemies. You should not have gloated when they exiled your relatives to distant lands, transatlantic slave trade, right? You should not have rejoiced when the people of Judah suffered misfortune, right? Redlining, gentrification, okay? During the Emancipation Proclamation, which is private ownership of slavery to public ownership of slavery, you created the Ku Klux Klan and continued to use terror and violence against the so-called black people. Okay? Until this day. right? You should not have spoken arrogantly in that terrible time of trouble. You should not have plundered the land of Israel when they were suffering such calamity. You should not have gloated over their destruction when they were suffering such calamity. You should not have seized their wealth when they were suffering such calamity. You should not have stood at the crossroads, killing those who tried to escape. You should not have captured the survivors and handed them over in their terrible time of trouble. Okay? Let's go get Amos for more proof of that. Amos chapter 1, verse 6. Thus saith the Lord Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai, for 3 transgressions of Gaza, and for 4 I will not turn away the punishment thereof, because they carried away captive the whole captivity to deliver them up to Edom. But I will send a fire on the wall of Gaza, which shall devour the palaces thereof. And their palaces are being devoured right now. Damascus is done. It's a war heap. It's nothing like it was 80 years ago. Verse 8, and I will cut off all the inhabitant from Ashdod, and him that holdeth the scepter from Ashkelon. And who holds the scepter? B.B. Kowalski, a.k.a. Benjamin Nothing Not a Jew, right? And I will turn mine hand against Ekron, and the remnant of the Philistines shall perish, saith the Lord Yahweh, because none of those people are supposed to be there at all. Amos chapter 1, verse 9, thus saith the Lord, for 3 transgressions of Tyrus, and for 4 I will not turn away the punishment thereof. The North and South Africans, the Ethiopians, Persians, Ethiopia, Libya, Syria, Put, right? Because they delivered up the whole captivity to Edom and remembered not the brotherly covenant, right? There was a brotherly covenant betwixt Tyre and Sidon, because they were the grandsons of Ham. And the brotherly covenant is Japheth, Shem, and Ham, the sons of Noah. Now, Tyre and Sidon were the grandchildren of Ham, okay? Or great-grandchildren of Ham, okay? And Hamites, we all know, are the so-called Africans. They so dark-skinned, they purple, okay? For being in direct sunlight all the time. But that's part of their punishment, right? But I will send a fire on the walls of Tyrus, which shall devour the palaces thereof. And this is my point. Thus saith the Lord, for 3 transgressions of Edom, and for 4 I will not turn away the punishment thereof, because he did pursue his brother with the sword, he did cast off all pity, and his anger did tear perpetually, and he kept his wrath forever. Amos chapter 1, verse 11, NLT. This is what the Lord says. The people of Edom have sinned again and again, and I will not let them go unpunished. What is sin? 1 John chapter 3, verse 4 states, he that sinneth transgresseth also the law, for sin is transgression of the law. And these people pretend to be, since 1860, the Israelites. So they are going to be held in contempt through, because it's basic blasphemy and apostasy to claim that you are God's chosen people when you're not. That's blasphemy, okay? And the Most High doesn't take kindly to that. So this thing is going to spiral completely out of control, okay? America, Babylon the Great, like it says in Jeremiah chapter 50, verse 45, the least of the flock shall draw them out, them being Babylon the Great, the daughter of the Chaldees' excellency, America. They're going to be drawn into this conflict, like it said, like the General Douglas McGregor said, retired Colonel Douglas McGregor said at the beginning of the video. Okay? Thus saith the Lord, okay, for 3 transgressions of Edom, and for 4 I will not turn away the punishment thereof, because he did pursue his brother with the sword. He did cast off all pity. I just showed you in the book of Obadiah, they cast off all pity and stood in the way. You should not have taken their wealth. You should not have stood in the way. You should not have allowed these people to come and take your brother hostage as captives. You should not have done all this, but that's what they stood there and did. And gleefully, like it says in Ezekiel chapter 36, verse 5, and gleefully plundered the land of Israel. Okay? Gleefully, with tears. Yay, look what we did. Hooray! 1948, The 1948ers went into our land claiming that land was theirs in 1948, and it was never theirs to begin with. That was just simply a punishment of the Most High Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushua to take away from us his name, his laws, his statutes, and his commandments, and to be acclaimed as heathen and to be scattered, to become uncircumcised. Okay? But now the Most High has had mercy on his elect, individuals that have been chosen, handpicked by the Most High God, Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushua, to receive salvation here in these last days. That is the prayer of Yahushua, the Son of Man, whom you call Jeebus Crossed, okay, in John 17, that covers us here in these last days, that allows us to come back to the Father and receive salvation by rehearsing the righteous acts, which is to keep his law, statutes, and commandments to the best of our ability until his return. Okay? It's that simple. Anyway, but okay, this is what the sovereign Lord says. The people of Edom has sinned again and again, and I will not let them go unpunished. They chased down their relatives, the Israelites, with swords, showing them no mercy. In their rage, they slashed them continually. They were unrelenting in their anger. So I will send down fire on Teman and the fortresses of Bozrah, and Bozrah is the capital city of Edom. So the capital city in this biblical context would be akin to the daughter of Babylon, right? The daughter of the Chaldees' excellency, the land of the Babylonians, spiritual Sodom and Egypt, America, the land of indigenous Holocaust and home of the slaves. Okay? This is what the Lord says. The people of okay, well then that's a punishment, and there's a punishment for after that for the Japanese, and then the Chinese. Okay? So yeah, the Most High, yeah, he's on his way back to destroy these devils. They got to go, man. Anyway, let's get back to the video.
It is obviously a rapidly evolving situation. And this was a unilateral action by Israel. So I think it is now crucial for many allies, including the United States, to work as we speak to de-escalate. I know they're doing that. And I think that is now the first order of the day.
Okay. So the Most High, I mean, everybody's pissed off about this shit. Okay. Look, Putin gives nuclear shock. What was that? 3 hours ago? And okay.
All I wanted was a zero minimum manufacture.
Yeah, man. Hold on, man.
Madam President, we would like to thank the Undersecretary General for Political Affairs, Political and Peacebuilding Affairs. We thank Mr. Carlo and the Director General of the IAEA, Ms. Grossi. We thank them for their briefings. First of all, we would like to express our condolences to the leadership and the people of the Islamic Republic of Iran, having to do with the numerous victims, including amongst civilians, which were the result of Israeli action. In front of our eyes, because of Israeli action, what is happening is a very dangerous escalation in the Middle East region, and this is something that requires an immediate attention from this council. We are grateful to the Guyana presidency for convening this meeting of ours so expeditiously. It's symptomatic that initially the council was to consider today, at this very time, the humanitarian consequences of inhumane actions by Israel against the people in the Gaza Strip. Instead of that, we are here having to discuss a new, most dangerous and irresponsible adventure by West Jerusalem in the region, but this time it is also pushing the region to a large-scale nuclear catastrophe. In the early hours of the 13th of June, Israel delivered a number of extensive strikes against the territory of the Islamic Republic of Iran. Peaceful sleeping cities were struck, civilian infrastructure, and peaceful nuclear installations under IAEA safeguards. We heard from the briefers today that there have been victims amongst civilians. This completely unprovoked attack, no matter what Israel says to the contrary, is a gross violation of the UN Charter and international law.
Okay, so everybody's out to kill these motherfuckers, man. They're done. Okay, let me go get another one. Let's get Matthew chapter 24. Okay. Matthew chapter 24, verse 22. And except those days should be shortened, there should no flesh be saved, but for the elect's sake, those days shall be shortened. Right? Wow. They just decided to switch over just because. You see that? That's crazy. All right. And Matthew chapter 24, verse 29. Immediately after the tribulation of those days shall the sun be darkened, and the moon shall not give her light, and the stars shall fall from heaven, and the powers of the heavens shall be shaken. Then shall appear the sign of the Son of Man in heaven, and then shall all the tribes of the earth mourn. And they shall see the Son of Man coming in the clouds of heaven with power and great glory. Right? And he shall send his angels with the great sound of a trumpet, and they shall gather together his elect from the four winds, from one end of heaven to the other. Let's go get, where's that? 2nd Ezra, chapter 15, verse, let me go back to verse 13. Right? I'm going to start at verse 5. And after this I beheld, and lo, there was gathered together a great multitude of men out of number from the four winds of heaven to subdue the man that came out of the sea. And you have three heavens, right? You have the heaven, which are the first heaven, which is the skies above us. Then you have the second heaven, which is outer space, which is the sea of tranquility, right? And then you have also the third heaven where the Most High dwells, right? That's where it means where to subdue the man that came out of the sea. And the man who came out of the sea was Yahushua HaMashiach, okay? But I beheld, and lo, and he graved himself a great mountain and flew up upon it, okay? So the Most High Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushua is going to bust through the clouds on these devils, man. They're finished. But I would have seen the region or place whereout the hill was graven, and I could not. So this is a fathership about 30 times the size of the planet Earth. Since that's the case, you can put 30 Earth-sized planets inside the inner circumference of the fathership, which Yahushua HaMashiach is dwelling within right now on his way to Babylon the Great. The first place he's coming is Babylon the Great, like it says in Isaiah chapter 19. Okay? But I would have seen the region or place whereof the hill was graven, and I could not. And after this I beheld, and lo, all they which were gathered together to subdue him were sore afraid, and yet durst fight. So you see, these people are going to be fighting against the Son of the Most High God with violence, but he's going to destroy them. Okay? Let's go into details on how he's going to destroy them, right? And lo, as he saw the violence of the multitude that came, he neither lifted up his hand, nor held sword, nor any instrument of war. But only I saw that he sent out of his mouth as it had been a blast of fire, and out of his lips a flaming breath, and out of his tongue he cast out sparks and tempests. And what does this mean? Okay, have you seen the movie Independence Day? How the mouth of the starship opened up, and then a beam of light came down and struck the earth. Boom, and there was fire that just spread out and destroyed everything in its path. This is what it explained. What do you think the movie directors in Hollywood, okay, the land of the Chaldeans, where do you think that they're getting that shit from? They're getting it from the biblical scriptures, man. Okay? Verse 11, and they were all mixed together, the blast of fire, the flaming breath, and the great tempest, and fell with violence upon the multitude which was prepared to fight, and burned them up every one, so that upon a sudden of an innumerable multitude nothing was to be perceived but only dust and smell of smoke. And when I saw this, I was afraid. So the Most High Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahweh Shai already got it planned out. These people are done, man. They're finished. Okay? 2 Ezra chapter 13, verse 23. He that shall endure the peril in that time hath kept himself, and he that be fallen into danger are such as have works and faith toward the Almighty. So these are the elect of the house of Israel, the remnant of the seed of the house of Israel. Let's go get it. Let's go get Isaiah chapter 10, verse 20. Okay? A remnant will return, and it shall come to pass in that day that the remnant of Israel and such as are escaped of the house of Jacob shall no more again stay upon him that smote them, but shall stay upon the Lord, the Holy One of Israel, in truth. The remnant shall return, even the remnant of Jacob, unto the mighty power. Okay? So, Jacob, and only the elect of the house of Israel. And the house of Israel is Jacob. Remember, Jacob wrestled an angel, and he prevailed, and his name was later changed to Israel. Remember? And he had 12 sons by 4 different women. Okay? He wasn't cheating. He had 2 wives, and each one of the wives had a handmaid. Okay? It's that simple. And the wives were sisters. Okay? The remnant shall return, even the remnant of Jacob, unto the mighty power. For though thy people, Israel, be as the sand of the sea, yet a remnant of them shall return. The consumption decreed shall overflow with righteousness. Right? And the consumption is found in 2 Ezra chapter 13. Right? He that shall endure the peril in that time hath kept himself. They that be fallen into danger, which are the elect, are such as have works and faith toward the Almighty. What is faith? Hebrews chapter 11 verse 1 states that faith is the substance of things hoped for and the evidence of things not seen. For by it the elders had good report. Who are the elders? Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Not Abraham, Isaac, and Esau. Get the fuck out of here, man. You understand? Okay? The Most High chose Jacob to himself and put Esau off to the side. Thereby Jacob became a great multitude, but Esau became greatly despised amongst the heathen and despised